theory of evolution states that in every population there is a variation. When conditions change, those best suited to the environment will survive and reproduce, carrying on these characteristics to their offspring. Over time, these characteristics will become more common in the population. Eventually, the new addition of characteristics to the species could become so different that they could be regarded as a separate species. But have you ever wondered who came up with this theory and their evidence for it? Lamarck came to the conclusion that living things evolved by the inheritance of acquired characteristics. In the perspective of the giraffes, they acquired their long necks from their short-necked ancestors. He believed that in constantly striving to reach leaves high in the trees which were out of reach of smaller animals, they stretched their necks. This characteristic was then inherited by their young. Lamarck concluded that this sequence, repeated over many generations, resulted in the long necks of the modern giraffe. However, his theory was disproven. First, it was assumed that the body of an organism could change shape and form if some part, such as the neck, is put under strain or is required for more constant use than other parts. This is true as if you were to train with weights for a long period of time, you would develop muscles. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that you would carry these characteristics to your offspring, which was his second assumption. For example, if a skinny man was to develop a muscular body, this would not necessarily mean that they would have bigger children. This therefore disproves his theory. Instead, we turn to Darwin's theory of evolution. Darwin's theory of evolution is the one that we use today. Darwin's theory involves giraffes as well. Specifically, he believes that in giraffe population there is a variation, most likely the neck being distinctly longer than the others. As the environmental conditions change, the individual with the longer neck survives and reproduces, passing these characteristics of their longer neck to their offspring. Those with the shorter necks most likely died due to the conditions. Over many generations, the long-necked giraffe species became more common, forming the species that we know today.